Hello. In the Crown of Aragon 639 years ago, it was April 27th, 1387. My name is Jonathan Seyfried. I'm a PhD candidate in history at the University of New Mexico, and this is the Historian's Notebook, a podcast about how history gets made. Season 1 is titled Molt Cara Companiona. We're looking at a document from each day of the first year of the reign of King Joan I of Aragon and Queen Violant de Bar. Let's begin today's document. Today's document is from the Secret Seal Register of Violant, and she's writing to James, the Cardinal of Valencia, thanking him for sending the songbook, the canzoniere. And, I don't really know if this means that we've got some information about the speed of mail delivery, because it is possible that the document that we looked at the day before yesterday, in which Violant is reminding James, the Cardinal of Valencia, about this, if that crossed, like if by chance James had already packaged up the songbook and had sent it on to Violant at the time that she had been writing that letter. It was in transit. The other possibility, which I think is a really cool thing to contemplate, is that we have information here about the rapidity with which letters and packages could be delivered between Barcelona and Valencia. And if it is the case that on April 27th, today, Violant received something that she had written asking about on April 25th, then that would be really quite remarkable. So what it would mean is that Violant sent out a letter the day before yesterday. It was delivered all the way to Valencia. It was seen by James, the Bishop of Valencia. He probably thought to himself, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to send this songbook over to Violant like I had said I would. And so he packages it up really quick and then sends it to Violant. I think, well, we'll get to the people in the letter in just a second, along with some people, and it gets to Violant in Barcelona, and all of this is able to transpire in a period of 2-3 days maximum. Pretty interesting. Very fast. I mean, wow. I guess it's possible, and I'm really hoping that some reading that I do further down the road will validate this, because I like to think that there was this super fast courier service between Barcelona and Valencia. I would just imagine that is like really amazing in terms of just thinking about how some of our assumptions about how long it took to communicate between some vast distances might not be right, and how there could be very rapid communication between places as far apart as Barcelona and Valencia. Let's talk about the people who are mentioned in this letter. So we've got someone named Ramon, and then the last name is really tough paleographically. There's a problem with minims. I think it's probably something like Rinsek, Rinsek. So we have Ramon de Rinsek and Mosen Hakme Castella. And then Violant has a title for Hakme Castella, Nostra Kamerlenk. And then after that, I think we've got a new phrase. So the Chamberlain, her Chamberlain, is Hakme Castella. All right, the Chamberlain is someone important in the household, maybe something like a chief of staff, kind of, but I'm still not quite sure what the Chamberlain does, so we'll treat that provisionally. And so it seems like Violant had sent with the reminder letter on April 25th these two people, Ramon and Hakme. And James, the Bishop of Valencia, has sent back both the songbook and a message, because in line 2, the second half of that line, E so kens han dit de vostra part. So Violant is saying that she has also received what has been said by Ramon and Hakme. So there's been the delivery of the songbook, but also a message from these couriers. Well, delivered by the couriers, a message from James, the Cardinal of Valencia. So, there's other things happening in Valencia besides just the Cardinal getting Violant a songbook. Later on in the letter, we see an interesting promise made by Violant. In line 4 to 5, she says that she's going to promise that she's not going to loan it out to anyone else, and that she is going to conservare diligentlyDate. She's going to diligently take care of the songbook. And so she's assuring the Cardinal of Valencia that the songbook is in good hands, that I think what she's indicating here is that she's going to send it back to him, that this is a loan, that this is sharing a piece of literature, culture, and she knows that it's highly valuable, and that the Cardinal of Valencia is going to be a little bit worried about it. And so she's reassuring him that she's a good book borrower. And I think those of us that have lent books out, we sometimes, are seeking a little bit of reassurance like that, because we value our books. But in this time, this is likely a book on parchment, and probably one that would take an extremely long time to copy. And so this particular book is highly, highly valuable. And if it were to be lost, destroyed, damaged, it would probably, not be easily replaced, if at all possible to replace. So books were very, very prized possessions. So it's not too surprising that Violant feels a need to reassure James, the Cardinal of Valencia, that she is going to diligently take care of this precious object as she reads it and enjoys it. So here we are on April 27th. It was a Saturday in 1387, and nothing appears out of the ordinary. Violant, from the looks of it, has time to spend looking at this songbook and there seems to be no emergency happening. The documents that we have been looking at from the last 10 days, nothing about them jumps out as concerning. If Joanne's health has been in trouble or in some kind of danger zone, they're all doing a good job carrying on with business as usual and establishing a documentary record in the archive that basically reinforces a notion that nothing has been going wrong. I'm going to just do a quick preview of what we're going to talk about on the 29th of April. So tomorrow in 1387 is Sunday. Then on Monday the 29th, we have the letter from Violant and a letter from Joanne that really indicates that there's been gigantic trouble. The letter from Violant, and so the episode for the 29th is going to be a really different one in that I'm going to look at two documents, one from Violant, one from Joanne, and I'm also going to explain some of the secondary literature, and I have figured out really what has happened with Joanne's illnesses, and also why we have a tradition in the secondary literature from modern scholars that is getting it wrong. All right, so on Monday the 29th, there's a letter from Violant which says that on Sunday evening, she uses the term vespers. On Sunday evening, Joanne had basically it looks like an attack of some kind. And we'll get into the vocabulary of that. But it seems that Joanne's health did just drop off a cliff on Sunday evening. So the fact that we're seeing here on Saturday a very kind of normal letter about a piece of business that is not, urgent. I mean, it's not like there's some kind of gigantic financial crisis. There's no military invasion. It's, it's important. Violant loves her culture, that's for sure. But it's something that easily could have waited if there was something that was very urgent occupying Violant's time and her mind. So this document on April 27th makes me feel like, for all intents and purposes, it was a very normal day. So it is possible that Joanne has been on some kind of long decline, but I think from what I'm looking at this point, it's instead that Joanne has just had lingering symptoms, and that he's just been not at 100% ever since January, and that he's basically been at something like 70%, like he's been functional, but just been having these lingering symptoms. That's my guess at this point. And then on the day of Sunday, we've got what appears to be a pretty normal business item from Joanne, so we'll look at that tomorrow. And then April 29th, we will get the story of what happened on Sunday evening. So that's what's coming up. It gets very dramatic. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Historian's Notebook, Season 1, Molt Cara Companiona. If you are leaving with more questions than you arrived with, I've done my job. oh, like what songbook is this? We don't know. It seems like the actual details of this songbook, which one it is, there's no way to figure it out. Anthony Rubio y Luch, he knew a lot of the manuscripts, and he couldn't get any more detail on this, so we just don't know. So you might be feeling dissatisfied, especially if you're really interested in knowing more details about the particular music that might have been in this manuscript that Violant discusses here. And if you are feeling that dissatisfaction, remember, that's our motto. Yeah, the motto of the Historian's Notebook is dissatisfaction guaranteed. And let me just explain that again. I haven't for a while. It's because if you're reading history and you feel like all the answers are there and there's nothing that remains unknown, well, that's some bad history that you're reading there and has been written there, because there's always more puzzles when we try to figure out what happened in the past. And so that's why the motto of the Historian's Notebook is dissatisfaction guaranteed. Visit the website to see an image of today's document and additional show notes, and listen again tomorrow to hear about the next day in the first year of the reign of King Joan I of Aragon and Queen Violante de Bar. In the meantime, take care.